Yeah, again, that happens, but this is what also community are made of. They are made of builders, and you don't even success at first time, but the goal here is to support. So again, we'd love to have Ace for another one, and then we'll have a talk about to continue on AsyncAPI, the power of AsyncAPI tool side capabilities, right? So I'll ask Maciej to come back.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Hello. The stage is yours for 25 minutes. Yeah. And if you need any assistance, we can ask Ace at some point.
Okay, no problem. I hope so that it won't be the problem. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Maciej Urbańczyk. I am a senior front-end engineer at the Postman in the open technology team working on AsyncAPI initiative, mainly on the AsyncAPI tool ecosystem, but sometimes also on the spec development. There are some links. If you want, you could send me an invitation to the network in the LinkedIn or even follow my GitHub account. This is the first conference, so I would like to thank you, the organizers, for accepting my topic and as well as everyone here to listen to me. So today I would like to show a presentation which with a title which sounds a bit like the clickbait, the power of AsyncAPI tool-side capabilities. I wouldn't focus here mainly on the tools, but show you some ideas, some proposals, how you can use the AsyncAPI in the production use case, in which scenarios then AsyncAPI provide you some additional possibilities. Yes, I will talk about but not limit of generation of code and documentation using the AsyncAPI, or how to find and analyze the relationship between the two AsyncAPI documents or more. So what is very, very important, what you should remember, that the AsyncAPI is an interface for the described application. At the very end of presentation, I will present one tool that extends this assumption by treating specification as a config. So yeah, before I starting presenting the ideas for what you use as APIs, I would like to talk first about the tools, or rather the group of the tools, because without the tools, the specification wouldn't make sense at all. Yeah, we can define main three groups of tools. Yeah, the first such a group of tools associated with the specification, mainly focusing on the spec itself, is a group that we can call the spec-oriented tools. One of the tools in this group is the parser, which is a most important tool in the ecosystem, because without it, the other tools wouldn't work, because the parser checks if our specification is correct or not. Additionally, it provides either API to read the data from the specification. From previous presentation, you should probably know, but at the moment you know that inside the operation you can define the messages. Yes, so the parser just provides the methods which make it easier for us to retrieve all messages used in Essence API. So we don't need to write that logic inside our project, inside our tools. We have a parser written in the JS, which is a main parser, and people need to update that tool with new methods as well when they want to add something new to the spec. So the parser takes a part in our release process, and it's very, very important part. And we have also the parser written in the Go. Next to the parser, we have also the parser API, which is a document describing what interfaces each parser in our ecosystem should satisfy, because we need to be consistent in the implementation to provide nice developer experience. We can also include to this group the tool like the converter, thanks to which we can convert old Essence API specification to the newer one. We can also optimize the specification with the optimizer, for example, by removing unused references from the components sections. Here's also a possibility to compare to specification using the diff tool. It allows us to see what changes have occurred between the two revisions of the specification. And this is similar to pull request changes on the GitHub. The pull request changes view or similar sites, but because we have a versioning inside the Essence API itself in the info object, diff show us if a given change is a breaking change or not, and by this we can decide if we should bump the version of the given spec. And the last one, but not least, is a bundler, which allows us to bundle all references in the single file. We often divide the specification like Essence API or even the Open API into several parts, which we describe into separate files, the common files, and this tool allows us to better distribution of the given spec. So it's the first group of the tools. The second group of tools is the one that usually uses the previously discussed one, but its task is to use the specification for purposes other than the documentation itself. So we can call them the capability-oriented tools, and I will presenting some of them in today's presentation. So here we have a generator for generating the things. We have also the MODELINA, which is a cousin of the generator, but mainly focused on the model generation. We have also the CUPID, which allows us to visualize the relationship between the application, the data flow between them, and in our ecosystem, we have also a framework called the GLI, which extend the design first approach. We have also other tools in this area, but I don't want to focus today on the another tools. So at the last group, which I don't want to talk about it too much, but just mention, is a group of tools that expose the mentioned tools, previously one, through the various APIs like the command line, the studio UI, which expose some set of the tools in the browser side. We have also the server API, which is a simpler server that makes the tools available via the HTTP. So, okay, so going to the main part of the presentation. The first idea for what you can use Essence API is to generate the documentation and the code using a given specification. Yeah. And someone might ask why you mention generating documentation if Essence API is documentation exactly, yeah? And to be honest, it's a good question, but sometimes Essence API is not very easy to understand and first look for people not familiar with the specification, yeah? Or for not technical people like the stakeholders, for example. So the generating documentation is about generating in an easier way, in an easier form documentation like the HTML page or the Markdown file. We can also generate the API clients based on the specification. We have an example where we have some application with exposed API to the clients, to our clients, and in some development period of time, we want to expose API in the nice way, yeah? So we can write it by hand or use the spec to generate it for us. We can also hire some student to write us this, but yeah, it could be the problem because we need to pay that person. So generation is better if you want to save your money. We have also the possibility to generate models based on the Essence API. Um, it, it seems to me that the next to the documentation generation, model are the most popular form because they allow us to transfer a given form of a model shape from one format like the JSON schema to the another format like the class in the programming language. The model generation itself can be also used to generate API clients. So these types of generation complement each other. And the last type of generation is to generate entire application based on the Essence API. This usually works in that form that the entire application is generated for a given language and the framework, and then the business logic is completed by the developers. It's very tricky kind of generation because we have to spend a lot of time preparing such a generation for a given language and framework, and sometimes it can be very, very complicated. So personally, I don't like it for two reasons. The mentioned time, the high probability of the bugs, and the situation when we want to regenerate something, yeah, regenerate the entire application because the new version of generation came out, and then what about already written the business logic, yes, how to save it. However, I know that the big companies who use the Essence API at the moment in the production use the server generation for prototyping or initial testing of API, and this use case can make sense. So for that idea of generation things in tooling ecosystem in Essence API, we have a generator that allows us to use different types of generation. Here is a link to the GitHub repository if anyone will be interested in learning more about this tool. It works similar to OpenAPI if you are familiar with it. The generator is a library that doesn't generate anything. So for generate something, we need the template, which is the separate project. Yes, just like the Essence API, everything in our tool is distributed. The generator takes as an input the valid Essence API and the template. And the template is a recipe for how to create something based on the Essence API definition. It's actually a published Node.js package because the generator is written in the Node.js, in the npm registry, of course, and it contains how to call that, the set or maybe the sequence of the instruction, or more precisely the files that need to be generated. Yes, it can be anything, a programming language, a script file, anything. Yes, based on the template we generate documentation, API clients, the models, and the server boilerplates. So each template can follow only by one kind of generation or use the several ones. Yes, generate several ones. So the official Essence API templates at the moment are, for documentation, we have the HTML template, we have also the Markdown template, and also the PDF generation, which is based on the HTML documentation because we only render the HTML output inside the PDF. We have also the several templates focused only on the API clients and few templates for generating server boilerplates. You can find a whole list of the official templates alongside with the docs in the generator repository. You can also create your own template and contribute to our organization initiative like most templates. So there is nothing stopping you from writing a template yourself. Yeah. So how to use the generator? You can use a generator as the command line, and you can also use the generator as in the browser in the studio.essenceapi.com or by server that we host, and you can make requests to generate some templates. We have also Docker if you don't want to use and install Node.js in your computer, and also the GitHub action, which allows you to generate something when you, for example, push something new to the main branch. Yes, so you can something in the app as well as the documentation in Essence API, and then to want to regenerate something like the HTML documentation. So I didn't mention the model generation in the previous slides on purpose because I would like to discuss it here. MODELINA is a tool that is used to generate models based on various inputs, mainly the Essence API. It's not a tool closely related to the generator because it's a separate library, which which can be even used in the browser. And as I mentioned, it can be also used in the template itself. As input, MODELINA takes the valid Essence API document, also the regular JSON schema, or even the OpenAPI in latest version. Additionally, because the Essence API allows you to define the schemas in the message payload, like the additional formats, like the Avro or RAM, we can also generate models from these types, the data types. Supported outputs are the Java, the JavaScript, the TypeScript, the Golang, and the Dart. Additionally, if you want, you can extend MODELINA with new language, even if you need to pin in the generation process. Yes, you can use the presets, which are the plugins to, for example, change the default date type for the generated models. Yes, so yeah, it's a MODELINA. So another way to use the Essence API is to find relationship and analyze them from the Essence API files. Mainly, it's a finding data flow, message flow between the application and the services based on the channels and operations. We can also try to describe the relationship in the larger system when we use, for example, the broker or event streaming. However, we have to remember about the publish and subscribe confusion, the publish subscribe meaning. I will describe that problem in this example. Yeah, you can find the link to the project to the Essence API files in the subtitle. The project has three services that share the same server shown on the left. Each service has a minimum one channel defined, which implements either the subscribe or the publish operation. As I mentioned in the previous slide, you need to remember the publish and subscribe meaning, because the Essence API is an API described from the client perspective, not from the application point of view. Yeah. So the publish means that the application is waiting for some message, for something, for some events, and subscribe means that the application is sending something to the system, to client or application. Yeah, and in this case, the subscriber service sends something to the system by the subscribe syntax. Monitor service can retrieve it from the subscriber service by the publish syntax, and the same situation on the same channels we have with the monitor and the notifier service. In this scenario, we can say that we have the broker-centric approach, yeah, because the communication goes through the same server, which we can consider as a broker. However, there are also the other situation, much simpler, when we want to describe, for example, the WebSocket server and some clients on the browser side. So we have only two services that communicate each other. So this example show us that we are able to use the Essence API to create relationship and search for them the connections, but it rather works by the convention depending on the scenario we are describing. So whether it's a broker or the server client, yes, and we have to remember that problem, because sometimes assumption could be wrong for the given use case. So the previously generated relationship on the right was created by a library called the CUPID. The library itself is quite simple. It accepts as input two or more Essence API valid documents and finds the relations using them, but based on the server address. So it can be a problem in some scenario, because sometimes you only want to know which messages on a given channel can be sent to the other application without the server is information, yeah, server address. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, we have a tool that uses the principle of the design first, or more precisely the speak first, because we use the Essence API to document some application. But it extends that idea to treating spec as a config, yes, as already from. Yeah, and the tool already is mentioned by the friend in the previous talk. We have created that framework that implement that idea, the GLI. It makes sure your code and Essence API definition are on pair. Before you start your application, GLI try to check if everything is okay with your business logic, check if you implemented the given operation, and if not, you cannot run your application. And how it works. The GLI reads your Essence API definition file and searches for all the publish operation containing the operation ID attributes. Why the publish? Because as we know from the previous slides, the publish means that the application waits for something, yes? So the operation ID serves a mechanism to bind a given operation to a specific function file. For instance, for given Essence API definition on the left, the GLI maps the onUserSignApp operation to the function onUserSignApp TypeScript file. The functions folder is required because the GLI checks implemented operation in that div. Of course, it's a very opinionated tool written in Node.js. At the moment, it has a lot of functionality like the validation of incoming messages based on the message payload definition, support also the request reply semantic, and other stuff. We know about that problem that some people from our community want to use such a tool in the different languages, but it's hard to do this because we don't want to maintenance a lot of the project, the similar project written in another language. I am thinking out loud here, but maybe in the future we'll switch from the framework approach here to the developer tool, where we will check consistency of the app logic and the Essence API definition on the command line on some CI/CD side, yes, not on the programming language side. So yeah, so the presented ideas of using Essence API are not only possibilities. For example, other possibilities include the creating a UI, where the user can manually test the API, similar to how the Swagger UI works. We can also treat the Essence API as the source of the data in the testing scenario, so to create some test scenarios. or treat the Essence API as a config for initialize, for example, the event gateways. Yes. So we have also the tools. Yeah, we have also the tools that I didn't mention in this presentation. So you should check our GitHub repository. And of course, please remember that mentioned tools may not support certain use cases that you want. Some of them support a lot already, but still most of them have now reached the first major version, and some from them are the big POC. And of course, thanks to the entire community for the work for Essence API. Because without it, there will not be today's presentation, because I would not have anything to talk about and show you. Yeah. So really, really thank you. Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you, yeah.
No, please go on. Sorry.
Okay. And if you wanna be part of our community, here are the links that you need for our website, GitHub, Essence API, Twitter, and the LinkedIn. And yeah, and that's it. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that you enjoy my presentation and maybe learn something new.
Yeah, it ain't much, but this is I don't remember the meme you had at the end. But yeah, thank you very much. One question, like to understand about the velocity of the community, you said most of these tools are made by the community, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so yeah, today, like, how would you just to understand the velocity of the open source project, right, or the of the spec?
Mhm.
How many of these tools are made by, or like, do you identify a core group of contributors, or it goes from anywhere?
Yeah, the core of the contributors, of course, is a team working on the Postman, as Fred said in the previous presentation. But we have also a lot of people working, in the free time or from the another companies. So I can say that maybe we have 7 or 8 the projects that only we focus, by the core team, and the another one, mostly the templates, is created by the community. For example, we have 3 great templates for the Java, for the Java Spring, JavaScript, Cloud Stream, and the JMS. We have also for the PHP, for Python, for .NET, for TypeScript. Yeah, so we have really great community who exactly active contribute to us. And also in the previous year, we have also we also take the part in the GSOC. So by this, we create also the 5 another projects like the div, optimizer, the bundler, etc., etc. So yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. How on the other side, like uh, on the governance of these tools, like how does that work? Is it mostly like hobbyists or doing things? You said sometimes employees by companies are doing it, but like where does this tool come? It's a demand that is identified and you call for tools to be built, or it's just like developers who say like, I think this should be the right tool, and they build it.
Yeah, the second one, the people. We also in our website we have these options that if you create some tool in open source, you can also add the link in our website for that. So the mostly tool is not created that we need something or something like that. We have this governor or something like that. No, the people exactly create this and then contribute to us. Of course, we usually want to, the switch, this tool from some personal account in the GitHub or in the company to us, because then, we show that for the entire community. And then sometimes in the open source it works that people don't have time sometimes. Yeah, maybe some um, family problems, etc., etc. So then we have the possibility to jump in, fix some problems, etc. Yeah. So yeah, so the second one, as you said.
Yeah. So the thing, maybe a last question here.
Mhm.
So you said there are a lot of tools. You showed us a full kind of workflow and everything. What do you know and use? There are a lot of tools that you could not describe. But let's say if we have a developer here who doesn't know what to build, but who wants to build something useful, let's say, what tool you always dreamed of and that's missing? Like it's maybe a hard
Uh-huh.
problem, but
Yeah, it's probably hard because we have a lot of tools, but we To be honest, we have missed one very important, but we are working on that in the core team, and it's a ADI visualizer, which we want to, expose the event storming idea to AsyncAPI. Yeah. So by this, you can create the API by the blocks. So for example, you can create some application like the domain, the event storming, and then create some the blocks like the channels, messages, operation, and connect them. And by this, you can create all the system with the brokers, and the pin the domains. So yeah, so
No worries.
probably the one, the tool that we are missing.
No, again, so maybe the only tool that's missing is the next one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also we are missing some templates because I didn't mention that in my presentation about the API generation. Yes, but if you have the the tool like the Open API generator, you have the programming language and the framework. And for the given programming language, you have the combination. Sorry, the generation is a combination of the number of programming languages and frameworks. But in the AsyncAPI is also the protocols. So this number, it can be something like the 300. And by this, we need 300 templates. So it's also the missing, the part of the tooling. So
We have a question about bug bounty. No, I don't know if at the stage you offer bug bounties, but
mhm.
no.
Okay. So
Yeah. So also a question about like the event. So Fran shared some news about the next event. So it's not decided yet, right? But who are you interested to have at the event? Like anyone from the community can apply.
do you mean the changes in the spec or?
Yeah, the Async API event, like the Async API event conference. I think.
Aha, yeah, everyone can. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
So
everyone.
if you, yeah, so if you have some interesting tool, you can apply, and yeah, we probably will accept you.
Yeah, perfect. So it's really great to see so much community decisions, organization. It's let's say lot of specs and standard are killed when they go to official, right? And so it seems you keep the velocity, you keep the dynamic. I think it's really rare to see that. So yeah, please keep the momentum, keep the vibe, and yes, the whole API industry is like following what you do, and the way the community is run is maybe an example for many other specs who, let's say, have been sometimes slower to evolve.
Yeah, thank you very much. We want to fix the problems that we see in another, the communities. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the tech is not the problem. The governance is the problem. So, but that's not it's the community. So yeah, anyone you can vote. You can go on the Slack channel of AsyncAPI or on the GitHub and participate into the vote. So you can make the spec you want, right, as a community.
Yeah, if you want, okay, I also want to add something. If you want, you can also create the PRs with changes to the spec. So yeah, we answer to every, so it's no problem.
Yeah, pull requests are welcomed.